But if you've never defined who you're not and who you are, then it gets gray. So anytime my kid, like when he called himself stupid, I said, that's not who you don't talk to yourself like that. Welcome to the Maverick Entrepreneur Podcast, where business success meets personal purpose. Here we empower entrepreneurs to strike that perfect balance between massive growth and unwavering values. Dive deep into strategies, inspirations, and stories that ensure you set your foundation in faith and don't compromise your family on your ascent to the top.
Welcome to the Maverick Entrepreneur, and today we're going to be talking about parenting, part 2. Since everyone was super excited about part 1, we figured we'd do part 2, so here we are.
What do you think? You think part 2 is going to be as good as part 1?
I think it should be better.
Oh, man, that's a lot of pressure.
That was only scratching the surface.
Yeah, I know it was, but I mean, shoot, we're letting people behind the veil.
We got to give them the nitty-gritty.
The nitty-gritty on raising 3 kids.
At the end of summer.
I love your thing last episode. We're just trying not to raise communists. I actually laughed out loud when I think in the moment of filming, I didn't laugh, but when I rewatched it, I laughed out loud.
Yep. So people kept watching because they want to know how to not raise communists in this world that we live in.
Set apart. Well, I will tell you that parenting with intentionality is a real thing. And, the mindset of how we were raised is we had parents that were actually raised by parents that were coming out of World War II. So our parents, they weren't really allowed to express emotion or talk about this stuff. But now we're getting into a generation where we know how you raise kids matters. And
we're getting to a generation where if we don't raise our kids the right way, the way the world goes will depend on them.
Yeah,
so we actually have a responsibility to teach them a right way to live and the right way to lead and do things for their generation.
There's been a big swing. You go from kids that were raised without very much affection or love or whatever, it's like tough love, all the way over to this latest generation, the kids before us, the kids that are in their 20s now. And if you look, they're soft. That's why we have such a woke nation.
Yeah, they just care about what they're feeling like doing that day.
I don't follow feel
their
like it.
feelings. It's because their mama didn't tell them.
What's up?
You don't make decisions based off your emotions.
And so if you guys want to click off this podcast early, you can. Our belief system is that when you raise kids, you have to do it so intentionally with discipline.
I want to give you one example just because it came to mind.
Uh-oh.
So my daughter begged and begged and begged for us to sign her up for gymnastics.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple weeks in, it got really hard and she came home sore. And of course, this was like the first real physical activity she would do on a weekly basis. And so she started crying to me. Every day I picked her up at school that it was a gymnastics day. Actually, all 3 of my kids started crying to me about a month into it. And I told them if I was going to sign them up, that they had to do it for 3 months. We're not just going to let them quit. And so it was so hard. I'm telling you, every time I picked them up for school and they were crying and I don't have the energy to deal with your crying and I don't have the energy to argue with you, I drove them to gymnastics and I made them do their class that we paid for and we finished out the 3 months. And after that, I let them, choose something different to do. But we're not just talking about these things. We're actually living them. And I'm not saying it's easy, but it's necessary.
We're not raising quitters. And if you let them quit because they don't feel like it, you're going to have kids that are whinging over everything. It's just, like Maverick when he sucked at math. And I think I just preached about this, but my youngest, he was like the worst in the class at math, and he came behind the teacher. I met with the teacher. She goes, yeah, he's behind. And he started, saying he was stupid. I said, one, we don't talk like that. If I hear that come out of your mouth again, there's going to be consequence. You're a Hubbard. We don't talk about ourselves this way. And he went through it, and I let him express himself, but then I corrected his bad thinking. And then I said, you're not going to have a teacher put a limit over you. You're not going to have, just because you don't understand now, you are very smart. We're just going to activate that part of your brain. So I got him enrolled in Kumon. And literally, he didn't want to go. And then all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, when he was the first kid to turn in his math test first, he was always last and he didn't always finish. And then he got a lot wrong. This time, finished first. And the teacher was so programmed, of course, and it's not her problem. She goes, "Oh, Maverick, do you need help? You can't just turn it in. You have to finish it." And he goes, "I did finish it." He only missed 2. By the end of the year, he went from the bottom of the class to the teacher told me the top 2 kids in the class in math. Then he started walking around with swag and got his confidence back. And the biggest thing we can do as parents is make sure we do whatever it takes to build confidence, not bust them, not tell them there's no purpose. Everything has purpose, just like disciplining. We talked about in the last episode, I don't like to spank my kids, but there's consequence to it. And I think so much is we let our kids off the hook, or we let Fortnite raise them.
Yep.
Or we let YouTube raise them, and we just need some quiet around the house. And it doesn't matter. We're not the OCD parents that don't let them watch TV. We have a TV, but they don't get to watch whenever they want, however long they want. They have to earn that. It's like credits.
Yeah, so our kids really like Fortnite now, which I didn't allow into the house until my husband said we could have it in the house. And then
fault.
we had to set up really strong boundaries because, of course, the boys got obsessed with it. And now they have to read, or they have to study, or they have to learn something before they can have their half an hour of Fortnite in the morning.
It's like shopping. Micah can't just go buy new shoes or get her nails done. How'd she get turned on to nails? I wonder who did that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know. I know. I have a daughter who's 11, obsessed with Dad.
And what's funny is here's the reality of it, is I'm not even influencing her in those ways. I'm trying to keep her away from those things, but she has all these little friends that are influencing her in those ways. So it's more the peer circle that your kids are around. And I'm very aware that this peer circle of girls are more mature than her, older than her. And so they're all about these things. And so now she's all about these things. Like she wanted to shave her legs the other day. And I have to face the reality of an 11-year-old going on 15 now.
Well, she doesn't even have hair on her legs.
Well, these are things we can discuss offline, but
no, we should discuss it right now, live in front of the world. Like, wow, because I have an opinion about that. Well, we'll get to that because I didn't know we were at that stage yet. You're hearing it unfold live right now on the Maverick Entrepreneur. This is parenting for you. This is why God created wine.
Why?
Wine.
Oh, to help us.
To help us, so we could sit down, have a glass of wine, and figure out what are we
doing.
But I will say this, is that with each step, some of you have been parents a long time, and that's great. Give us some tips. We love it. We're always open. We're getting feedback from people that have the fruit that we want. So I'm always watching some of my older friends, some of my peers that have had kids, and I like the fruit of where their kids are at. I love to see, like our close friends, they have 2 daughters. One's graduated, one's a senior this year. Man, they are amazing, head of the varsity cheerleading squad. But I see the fruit in their life, the good decision makings that they make. And it was such intentional parenting, because we've known this couple for 20 years.
Yeah.
We have watched intentional parenting.
You've known them since they were born.
Yeah, I've known the girls since they were born.
Yeah.
I've adjusted them. I've been their chiropractor, but
you've seen it.
And as a chiropractor,
life.
I see so many kids come through my doors. And I can tell you the ones right now with intentional parenting and the ones that are just trying to get by.
So there was this couple when we first got married we really looked up to, and we would go spend time when we were, we were dating, and then we were just married without kids, and we would spend time with this couple all the time. And we really looked up to them and the way they did their family, and they made sure their kids knew, like, the family unit's the tightest thing. Well, something happened that took them out of church, and their whole family kind of went cattywampus, and now all 3 of the girls are just kind of off the rails, like no purpose in life. And we've gone to a couple of their weddings, and it's just been really interesting to see those decisions that you make as a married couple. Even if they got upset, offended in the church, they led their girls out of church. And then now to see the fruit of it has been really eye-opening for us, because there were so many things that we really valued that they raised their kids doing. But this was one staple that kind of tore it all apart. So it's very sad to see. But those decisions are so important to make consciously, because every single decision that you make is going to affect generations after that.
Yeah, and that's true. Like, we get to the point, I grew up never wanting to go to church, and my parents would make me, and I hated it. But it's amazing to raise kids that they get mad at us if we don't take them to church, which
Exactly.
is so insane to think about, but it's so amazing. And our kids want to
Oh,
be
our
with
boys
us.
were upset that they couldn't go last night to Emerge night.
I know.
After you left, they're like, "Where's Dad?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Emerge night." Maverick's like, "What? He didn't take me?" Like, it's their reality is that
Yeah.
they're always going to be in church, and they love it.
And the family unit, we have date night. Our kids know we're intentional about date night, and our kids, they're like, don't leave, don't leave. And then as soon as I say, you don't think I should date your mom? They're like, all right, you need to go. But it's funny. We have family night, date night, and then my kids are getting to the age. I was waiting until Micah got to the certain age, but now it's like I'm going to start dating my daughter,
Yeah.
intentionally, because I need to set the bar for how she needs to be treated as a young lady. And one day there will be a man that wants to court her. And if I don't set the bar, someone else will. And I don't want there to be a low bar. I want that bar to be so high that these folios coming in trying to date my daughter are going to have to level up their life. And if they don't level up their life, they're not going to get a chance. And she's confident
Good
enough.
luck with Dr. Matt's daughter, all you dudes out there.
dude,
I
I
mean,
can't.
you have kids. You think you got this cute little 13-year-old you
Yeah.
think could be good for our daughter. Good luck.
Good luck. Yeah, that's why I love when in Malachi, the Lord says, test me in this. I was just like,
You're applying it to
I'm
that.
going to apply this to dating my daughter. Test me in this, young punk. But I'll just say, introduce me to your parents, and I'm already going to be able to tell you what kind of man he's going to be. Because intentional parenting is a thing. It's just like intentional in the business world. Speaking of that, babe, you want to hand me this right here. Speaking of how do you build up resilient young kids, there's a lot of studies on journaling, and I've journaled a long time. It's almost like a therapy. Nathaniel Branden inspired me years ago. He wrote the book 6 Pillars to Self-Esteem. I recommend it to everybody in the business world, married couples, going through that, learning sentence completion, learning journaling. He was a psychologist, famous around the world, dated Ayn Rand, and who wrote Atlas Shrugged. Just an incredible, thought-provoking leader. I got to meet him 6 times in his lifetime, and he passed away, unfortunately. But many people that I look up to all were direct students of Nathaniel Branden. And I can tell you he's one of the greatest thought thinkers when it comes to relational development. And he had so much incredible insight on how to build up secure men and women that raise secure boys and girls. And so one of them was journaling. So after all these years, it's been like my daughter's 11. So it's been I've been thinking about when can I teach my kids how to journal? This is the first hot off the press one. I wrote this one to my daughter. It's the author's copy, 300 pages of teaching your kids how to journal, all different thoughts. And all this is stuff I take my kids through at night. What was your high of the day, your low of the day? I want to let them talk about their emotions, just be able to articulate how they feel, let them know that it's okay to feel that way, but you can't sit in it. And one of my analogies that you might not like is if you let kids stay in their feelings, that's like them peeing on the floor and then sitting down in it. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You can't let kids sit in their own crybabiness. You have to provoke them to want to change. So journaling is one of the greatest way. This is the Maverick Entrepreneur Kids Journal. It is out now on Amazon. And I promise you this, if you have kids between 8, 9, and 16, you want to get them journaling now. Make it a daily behavior because it will do great things for them. So we're excited to see the fruit of that in the season with our kids. And whether you have kids or not, journaling is important to you. Even as an adult, the more you journal how you feel, how your thoughts are, it's how you take your thoughts captive. And if you learn how to take your thoughts captive, like the Bible says, which is the greatest blueprint for your life, then you will be able to figure out which ones you need to, those thoughts stay captive and not get out of your mouth, or the ones that you're like, okay, that's a healthy thought. I need to release that. Because once you speak it, your tongue has a creative force that will either make your life or break your life. And it's so important, especially with kids, how we talk to kids, how we discipline our kids, how we love our kids.
Bless you.
I
God
needed
bless
that blessing. Oh, that was good too.
Is there another one?
I felt what?
Is there another one
No,
coming?
no, I'm a one sneezer.
Wow.
Yeah, you
It's
didn't know
very
that?
unique.
We've been 18 years.
I learn something new every
You're
day.
a triple sneezer.
Okay.
You
I
didn't
don't
know that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah, you sneeze in 3.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Back to that. So that intentionality is so important, which is another thing I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Can I bring up our menus or our placemats?
Sure.
My wife doesn't like the picture, but
It's the rough draft.
it's the rough draft. Well, we've been doing this for years. So this is is this my 4.0? This is my 4.0. So right here, maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. She doesn't like that picture. She's all mad at me.
I like this one.
You like that one?
Yeah.
I don't like this one, but that's okay. You
But
look
look
cute.
at Merrick's cute face.
Oh, they're both cute. Our family dinner placement, I'll give you one. They have different things on here. And I'm just going to give you, so intentionality with your kids. This is what I really wanted this to focus on. Where does it start? Well, it starts with journaling. It starts with, do you pray for your kids before you go to bed? Do you let them talk about their emotions, but just not talk about them? How do you help shape their emotions? So many good books out there on there. I'm going to be inviting one of my good friends on this podcast that is like, has some of the greatest kids in the world, and we have them teach at our marriage getaways all the time. But in this one, on this family placemat, when your kids get old enough to understand it, it's just about what you talk about at the dinner table is important too. What you talk about, whether it's breakfast or dinner, it's super important. But on this one, I just have our weekly business meeting with my wife. It says every Tuesday, Mikala and I have our coffee break marriage agenda, 8:30, 9:30. These are little seeds that I want my kids to see. Like, oh, what is that? Because one day they'll ask me. I have on here 6 components of happiness. And this has just been a lifetime of stuff that either I've thought about, my wife's thought about, we brought together, like maybe some traditions she's had, some traditions I've had. We did our core values together, and our core values on here that we want our kids to learn, not just through what we say, but how we live. So abundance. So under abundance, then we put the tagline, we think about possibilities. We have faith for him possible. We believe that wealth, money, love, joy all stem from a healthy mindset and our faith. And so my kids are at the age now they can read this and start to ask questions. So our other core value is vision, self-leadership, relationships, maintaining them. So I want them to know we do family night every Tuesday, and we have really important people. It's an open door policy but we're raising our kids together. So our kids will swim, we're having fun, we're having healthy conversations. They're being raised in an environment where relationships matter. Not friends for a season, but some are for a season, some are for a reason, some are for a lifetime. But we want lifetime relationships that we're going to do life. We're going to be there through the good, the bad, or the ugly. And that's important. Teamwork.
Makes the dream work.
Come on, that we're all a team. Money making, we enjoy making money and investing it. We aim to maximize profit in our business endeavors. We want to teach our kids that if my daughter wants to get her nails done, what is she going to do to earn money? What is she going to do to earn money? And my wife just can't say, sure, I'll take you. Once in a while, her birthday, or if my wife sees that she's been working really hard in school or whatever, we're going to take her out and she can get her nails done. But most of the time, if she wants her nails done, she's got to pay for it. She went out to the river. We talked about it last time.
Yeah, we told the story on the last podcast.
Yeah,
about
and
the
she
lemonade.
made all this money. I'm like, oh my gosh, what do you want that for? She goes, well, you're not going to pay for my new shoes. Which we do. We're not those parents. We totally bless our kids, but she's understanding the value of money, and so is Maverick. Physical, spiritual well-being, family, giving. So all these things are our core values. Hubbard's 4 pillars for success. Show up on time, do everything you say you're going to do, finish what you start. That means Mare, flush the toilet, say please and thank you. There's nothing worse than going into all our different bathrooms, and I know Mare's been in it.
Yeah.
Is that your side of the family or mine?
I think it's yours.
I'm a flusher.
You are. Prophesy.
Oh, wow. Wow. So anyways, this is just a good idea to maybe sit down, talk about the things, how you want to intentionally parent, or, what do you and your wife discuss? Was there anything on yours that you liked?
I noticed they're different. Yeah, this
They
is
are
good.
different.
All great.
You know what I did?
What'd you do? You gave me options?
No, they're not options. I took our placemat that looked chaotic, that I could tell you didn't love because it was all shoved on one.
Oh, and you separated it
And
into
Zoe
2.
had a great idea to separate them into 2.
Yeah, that's great.
So
I
we
love
could
it.
all read off different ones. I thought you might notice that,
like
but you didn't.
All great change in America begins at the dinner table. That's a quote from Ronald Reagan. That's powerful. Yeah,
Anything else on there you
it's
like?
amazing. All of it's good.
Well, of course it's all good. It's like what we're trying to intentionally teach our kids. But what's one thing that could really light
All
them
right,
up?
parental rules. I like rules. I'm a rule follower.
My wife is so.
Always obey mom and dad. Yes. Do manners. No lying, no talking back. Always do your best. You know how we roll. So, you know how the Hubbard family rolls. And we could say that to our kids and they'll know exactly what we mean.
That's
That's
right.
not. What's your last name, Maverick? You can't talk like that. We don't roll like that.
We don't roll like that. So important. Last thing I just want to touch base on real quick on this one, babe, is just the importance of setting a legacy for your kids. We talked about it. When your kids are born, you need to figure out, first of all, you can DM me or hit me up and just say, I don't know
Wealth?
what
Is
you
it
say.
wealth?
Wealth?
I don't know.
No, just put in kids, and we'll DM it. Put in kids, and we'll send you. We have a product that is teaching you 33 different ways to get write-offs for your kids. How do you help them set up and establish their life? Number one is you should get a life insurance policy on them ASAP, and I'm talking a whole life, whatever your. Not term. This isn't really a life insurance policy. This is how they become their own bankers. So each one of my kids at birth, I started a policy on them, $250,000 policy. We fund it every month. And what happens is by the time they're 18, they're going to have enough money in there that they can pull it out. They use it when I go to buy my daughter's first car. It's not going to cost me a dime. I'm going to pull it out of her life insurance policy. It's one of the greatest things that I was ever taught is setting your kids up to win. And then what they'll do is they'll pay back their life insurance policy, not a bank. You know, when you go you go to Ford or you go whatever car they want, you're paying the bank and they're making money. But I want my kids to know they're making their own money. So they'll pay back their life insurance policy. And by the time they're ready to get married, I can say this, you can put that money towards your wedding or you can put it towards your house. What do you want to do? And they can have choices. And all choices have consequence, but some will, hopefully they'll understand the power of throwing a good party, but the power of owning your own house is better than investing $100,000 in your wedding. My daughter, I'm sure, will want both, so we'll have to figure out how to navigate that when we get there. But
Better think bigger.
Think bigger. This entire book right here is all about your family, our family constitution that goes with our it goes with our revocable trusts. And with that trust, these are the rules and the guidelines on what our philosophy is about. I talk about what we're not. We're not going to be vague. We're not going to have scarcity thoughts. We're not going to be talking to the past or the future like it's the present. We're not going to be defensive. We're not going to take things personally. We're not going to have comparison. We're not going to be resigned and give up on life. We're not going to be a victim or a martyr. We're not going to be either or thinking, which is called double-mindedness in the Bible. We're not going to make excuses. We're not going to justify our actions, and we're not going to rationalize. So many kids today don't even know these things, but you have to teach them. So when we hear our kids, because what happens is they go to school, they're around other kids. Some parents aren't as intentional as when I hear victim mentality or whining or complaining, we have to do a lesson on it in the moment. I'm not going to spank my kid 5 hours later. I'm going to deal with this behavior right now. But if you've never defined who you're not and who you are, then it gets gray. So anytime my kid, like when he called himself stupid, I said, that's not who you don't talk to yourself like that. But you got to understand all these other key points of who you're not is in our legacy book. And we go through all these things. We're going to talk about what our beliefs are about money. What is it about healthy? We don't eat those foods. My kids, I don't think have ever had a soda. Maybe
never is a strong word, but
okay.
Very, very rarely.
And they don't even want it. They know. My kids look at labels. They look at high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
I got in trouble and got called into the first school just because, my daughter said, this kid was going to get cancer, but this kid kept offering her, a soda. And the teacher got all upset with me. Like, your kid can't say that. What do you mean? Well, your kid can't say that person's going to get cancer. I said, well, studies say that sugar, high fructose corn lead to cancer. I'm sorry my kid said that. But the bigger issue is that kid shouldn't have a Coca-Cola product at school, right? Oh, yeah. Well, why are you busting my kid for calling that kid out? Because my daughter didn't want any of that drink. So when you set up the values of who we're not, my kids live intentionally because they know health is a part of our family. They know that eating right, that there's certain things that we do, there's certain things that we don't do. But it's always a conversation, and it starts in the home. It starts with you and I, and it starts with us as parents. But unless you get intentional, then guess what? You will just end up with whatever the byproduct is of the world raising your kids, or YouTube, or who knows what else out there. So I would tell you, the reason why we do this podcast is, man, we want to help people realize that intentional parenting matters. And we have seen it firsthand, and we're not perfect. We're still learning. We still have to apologize to our kids. We may have got something wrong, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to hold the line with our kids to teach them, because I always tell them, how you do anything is how you do everything. If we let you off the hook now, you're going to keep developing that pattern, and it's not going to go well with you when you're an adult. So many adults now, I don't care if they're in their 30s, act like children.
Yes, they do.
Have you seen that? Most of our pastoral care stuff, I go, dear Lord, you're a 30-year-old child.
No one has taught people how to act. But I also want to add to the fact, because we're bringing a lot of truths and a lot of guidelines to parenting. Our kids have a very epic life. I was thinking I should add that in there, because listening to part 1, it just sounds like we bust them all the time, which we do, but then they get to enjoy the fruit of amazing life. Like, we do a Lake Powell trip every year for 2 weeks that they look forward to all year. We go out and do fun things, family night. Like, they live incredible lives, which actually makes it even easier. I know sometimes I'm like, you are so spoiled. But it actually, in those moments, makes it easier to bring truth to them, because they know they're well loved and well taken care of. And so bringing the truth and bringing discipline should not be something you feel bad about doing if you are also loving them well. And that's what love is, sometimes bringing truth with grace and making sure that they know how to grow up as responsible adults in this world. And that's your job and our job, especially with the way our world is going.
As much as I didn't finish our part 1, I don't think we sounded like we bust our kids. I think anybody that knows us knows how, but we don't want to raise entitled kids.
I would say we are probably more strict than the average parent.
Yeah, because the average parent isn't intentional.
Right, exactly.
I care what goes in their mouth and what goes in their mind.
Right. No, absolutely. I just think it's...
Yeah, well, parents that just sit there and pipe off all the time, they don't even care about what goes in their mind. How are they going to care what goes in their kids' minds?
Absolutely.
Half the people you just want to slap. I was like, did you hear what you just said?
Did your mama teach you not to say that?
No, they don't even know that. They didn't even know it was bad, or scarcity mentality or lack mentality.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to raise lack mentality kids, because kids, they hear the word no. No, you can't have that. You can't have that. You can't have that. No, you can't do that. Oh, no, don't touch that. They hear no and you can't have that more times in their first 4 years than they will. They're already programmed by age 7 that they can't have anything. So there's scarcity mindset. My job is, okay, I don't want to say no. I want to teach them consequence. I want to teach them there's a better way. And sometimes they just have to learn the hard way. But I want to end on this. Like, here's some things I want to inspire you. Now, don't feel like, oh, I suck. We always be around bigger people. We still get around some pretty epic moms and dads, and we realize how lame our game is right now, and we'll level it up, and we want to be better. So don't be hard on yourself. Just be inspired to do bigger and to do better. But I always say this, do you want to be financially successful? I heard this quote one time. It said, success is doing what I say I will do, and consistently with clarity, focus, ease, and grace. That's success. And so what about, do you teach your kids how to be financially successful? The positive benefits of being healthy and physically fit. Are they great at loving and being affectionate with family members? Are they a generous friend? We're working on this with Mare right now, babe.
Oh yeah, we're working on a lot of things with Mimmer.
Yeah, but
That
Merrimer,
5-year-old.
he doesn't want to be generous.
That 5-year-old.
Yep,
Yeah,
that
he's got
5-year-old.
some Hubbard genes in there. I gotta weed
Oh,
out.
dear Lord. Don't get me started. Listen, but a generous friend, both my kids, older two, are generous. We got to break the selfishness with Merrimer. He doesn't want to share as much. A contributor to my community. What does that mean? Are your kids contributing to their friends? What do they share their things? A visionary leader. I had a whole talk with Maverick recently on how to have a vision to lead his friends, because his friends, I could tell, were influencing him. And I'm like, did you think that sounded right? No. Well, why didn't you say something? I wasn't sure what to say. So we role played on how he could have led better. One day they're going to be a business owner. Like, Micah's first time making lemonade and doing a lemonade stand, she didn't make that much money. But now we tweaked it. That girl's lemonade stand is the most profitable lemonade stand I've ever seen. Are they influential speakers? Well, how you do anything's how you do everything. If they're afraid to speak up now in front of other people, how are they going to speak in front of when they're older? Train them up in the way they should go. Successful author, they write notes, they write thank you cards. So many kids don't even write down if my kids get a gift, they're writing a handwritten thankful note. The spirit of being in an attitude of gratitude, but writing them out. They get, grandparents send them money for their grades and stuff like that. They earn it. Well, they got to respond with a handwritten note. What do you think they're going to do? Text them and take a selfie? So annoying. Anyways, we have a list of that stuff we'd love to hook you up with. I don't want to go on and on, but this is how thick the book is for us to live intentionally. And it's not like by accident. And the truth is, this is an experiment. We've been inspired by those people before us, and we're just working it out as we go along. So our goal today is really, I hope this could inspire you to find ways to be intentional with your kids, with your family, so you can leave a legacy. And it can start with you. It doesn't matter how you were raised. It doesn't matter. There's enough resources out there that you can apply this to your own life and to your family's life and have a severe left. You could exit stage left and change the trajectory for your family. You will end up one of the Rockefellers or the Vanderbilts on the decisions you make. Both were the wealthiest two families in the world in the 1900s and the early 1900s. Today, the Rockefellers are worth more than they were and have perpetuated wealth and sustainability, where the Vanderbilts just filed bankruptcy within the last 5 years. So you had the two wealthiest people in the world follow different paths, one with intentionality, one without. One is wealthier than they've ever been, and one is broke as a joke. You get to choose where you want to be and where your family legacy is going to end up by the choices you make today. So, any final thoughts, babe?
Final thoughts. Be an epic parent. You can do it.
Yeah, should you go out to coffee with them and hang out with them and teach them or no?
Yeah,
Yeah?
totally.
Wow, you're a good friend.
I'm just going to book my calendar for the whole next year, teach people how to be epic parents.
You're so awesome. Well, I want coffee with you. Don't forget our marriage agenda on
Okay.
Tuesdays.
I'll keep that in there.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Maverick Entrepreneur. We'll see you on the next one. Hopefully you're living inspired and doing big things in your life. Ciao.